Inflation for Dummies 2023. Ever wonder why prices of goods and services always seem to go up? And even though you may get a raise at work, the money you make just doesn't go as far as it used to? Just when you thought you'd arrived and made it in life, you apply for a loan on a house or an automobile, and you find out that you're not doing as well financially as you thought. This is called inflation. Most people don't know what inflation is and don't even consider it. People think it's just an increase in the price of goods and services, but they have no idea what causes this or how to insulate themselves against it. In this video, I'll explain to you the concept of inflation, what causes prices to rise and fall in simple terms, and why we should be concerned about inflation. Hello and welcome back to another video on our channel, Finance Sense, covering all the latest trends in the financial markets and the economy. There has never been a better time to prepare for a future of high inflation. I want you to be able to spot the warning signs before your money becomes worthless. But before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell to stay updated with our videos. Without further ado, let's head on to the video. Consider the total amount of money in the universe and in the banks. It's everything in one enormous bucket. All the manufactured goods and services are on the other side of the scale. Every single item that is produced, every single thing that business owners out there are making, including goods and services. You have these two large buckets, and they establish an equilibrium, which is price. Once you are familiar with these two buckets, consider what would happen if you increase the money supply. Let's say you had a bucket full of money, and then let's assume you doubled the amount of money in the bucket and then gave that money out to individuals all over the world in the form of tax cuts or stimulus payments. What would happen? If you double the total amount of money that everyone on the planet has in their pockets and bank accounts, you will instantly transform everyone in the world into a wealthy individual. They are able to acquire the same level of goods and services due to the extra money at their disposal. So what exactly does it accomplish? It contributes to price inflation by pushing up the costs of the goods and services that are being offered. Think about what would happen if the bucket containing the money was halved. When some law was passed, the value of all of the money in your bank account, as well as wherever else, was cut in half. How much money is left over to pay for all of the things and services that need to be paid for? As a direct consequence of this, prices will fall. What would happen if you decided to implement a policy that either stopped production entirely or cut it by approximately half? Imagine for a moment that a country produced 1 million chairs, cars, or televisions in a single year. When an unexpected event such as a pandemic occurs, individuals are immediately prohibited from going to work, advised to stay at home, and prevented from working in factories to produce goods and services. So now you have this bucket of money. Although the number of goods and services produced has not changed, the total amount has decreased dramatically. Since money is being spent on a far smaller number of goods and services than before, the prices of those goods and services are going to go up. To summarize, inflation can be conceptualized in this two-bucket scenario, each of which has the potential to increase or decrease. The number of goods and services created, as well as the total amount of money, make up the two buckets. But before we move on to the next segment of this video and discuss the associated concepts of inflation, I just wanted to ask you guys what your early perception of inflation was. What did you think inflation was? Are you familiar with the actions that the government is taking to reduce the rate of inflation? If the answer is yes, please let us know in the comment section below so that we can keep the conversation going. And with that, let's continue watching the video. So is there another approach that may be used to bring inflation under control? The answer is that there is. So the current objective of the Fed is to diminish demand. They accomplish this goal by increasing the interest rates. Everyone is getting poorer as a result of it, but does a business owner who wants to borrow money to expand his factory so it can create more products and services also have to pay more? Is he reconsidering taking out the loan? Because the loan rate is simply too high, he does not expand the capacities of his factory. What further measures does the government plan to take? In this case, they intend to hire 87,000 individuals to work for the IRS. Their employees at the IRS are wasting their time with non-productive tasks rather than providing the public with goods and services. These people are paid to carry out activities that have no significance. Having said that, they're not entirely wasting their time. They are compensated for their efforts to bother and delay the producers. For example, an employer or employee will get a form in the mail. They are required to complete a bureaucratic form and then send it in, which takes time away from the work that they should be performing. Every time they get an order, they have to put in a lot of time, effort, mental capacity, and stress into carrying out this flawed system in which they are presumed guilty unless their innocence can be proven. Every time the government interacts with you in almost any manner, it brings a halt to production, which in turn affects workers, business owners, and innovation. All of this draws attention away from the method of decreasing inflation that is most desirable, which is to increase the number of products and services that society produces. Keep in mind these two strategies for bringing down inflation, either the quantity of goods produced or the amount of money available reduced. Is there any other way to bring down the inflation rate? Yes. The first step, which also constitutes a technical answer, is to raise output. If you want to see an increase in output, you will need to decrease the size of the government. It not only frees up the resources of that person who is simply idling away in a government office, but it also frees up the double negative impact of disrupting the suppliers, slowing down the manufacturers, and limiting the output of products and services. Therefore, cutting back on government spending, firing a ton of bureaucrats, and abolishing a lot of outdated federal agencies would seem to be the logical solution. Politicians and bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. do not really favor these concepts. In fact, they are never even taken into account, which leads to a deadly death spiral. They are causing inflation. Their response was to spend additional human resources in ineffective government buildings, employ those resources to disrupt business owners, forcing them to produce less and lower the number of things produced. To pay for those individuals to carry out these detrimental and pointless tasks, they must continue to print more money. It is a surefire recipe for rising inflation. All of the world's economies, along with their nations and companies, are sinking into a quicksand as a direct result of the fact that everyone is acting in the same manner. At the same time, it is difficult to notice that you are in quicksand since everyone appears to be in the same frame. No one is going ahead and no one is going back. In other words, no one is moving in any direction. Therefore, every country in the world is doing the same thing, greatly expanding the size of the government, the number of bureaucracies, and the amount of money the government spends. The money generates more money to pay for all of these programs, and this new money is then used to hire individuals who will, at best, be ineffective. It sounds like we've reached the end of this video. If you found this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe and comment down below your thoughts in the comment section. This is Finance Sense, helping you keep up with all the latest trends in the financial markets and the economy. See you next time.